Good morning, everyone. I am so happy to see you. 2 years has just been way too long and absolutely too long for me. I want to start off with saying that the hard lockdown has been tough. And even though restrictions has been lifted, it would be irresponsible of me not to say, do wear your masks. I'm probably the poorest example of that. Because right now I just feel like I want to hug everyone. I already went to go hug Mr. and Mrs. de Villiers, and there goes social distancing out by the window. So do bear with me because I often have a saying that says, I'd rather die in a world of love than to live forever in a world of fear. And I want to say, being in the healthcare business, at Bankmed, we do everything we possibly can to stay healthy, to keep our members healthy. So do wear your masks. If you are comfortable, and if you are sitting fairly distant from somebody else and you want to take your mask off, feel free to do that as well, but understand that your health is your responsibility. So see how you feel because you know where you stand with your health. But be that as it may, I am still excited to be here. And it's all about gearing up after the pandemic. So I'm excited about that. And I want to set the scene for today because today's presentation is going to be extremely different. It's not going to be about benefits in detail, and neither is it going to be about plans. We have discovered quite a bit in this last 2 years. So today, gearing up for wellness and the presentation in the manner that we have prepared it, it's a bit text intensive, but bear with us. The idea of the presentation is that once it's on the website, you're more than welcome to download the presentation and pass it on to whoever you believe needs it. When they read the presentation, they should be able to understand what it is that we were trying to present today. In fact, they should have a good understanding of exactly what message it is that we want to bring across in terms of gearing up for wellness. So all of that said, today we're not just going to concentrate on physical wellness, but we're going to touch on emotional and psychological wellness as well. So the slides are aimed at a caregiver. And when you read the slides and when I explain about caregiver, I want to first start off by saying we're referring to the caregiver as you, the caregiver of your own health and your own well-being. And in addition to that, we're referring to the caregiver as potentially your spouse. Or perhaps you have a caregiver at home, or you happen to be in a retirement village where there is a care facility. And so we're referring to caregivers even as family members. And the manner in which we prepared the presentation and the content of the presentation is to speak to the caregivers today, which includes yourself. And in the same light, I want to say to you that today I needed help, a lot of help. So I brought with me a very big, strong team. There's probably easily a third of the numbers out there waiting for you. So I've got corporate health managers with me. I've got client relations managers, client relations consultants with me. I have a doctor here today. I've got a wellness team here today because I needed a lot of help today. And I know how to ask for help. And I'm going to digress just for a moment. I often say that I'm always so privileged to present to our pensioner members. And these are the reasons why. I had a lady that said to me earlier on, I'm so glad you are here. How long have you been with Bankmed? In fact, just before she said it, she says, I'm so glad that you are here and that you're not away. And I said, away? And she says, like like you are with Bankmed. And so it reminded me that I celebrated my 16th anniversary with Bankmed. And so I've been in front of you for the last 16 years. And I tell you, I've never been educated by our pensioners the way I've been educated by Bankmed pensioners and yourselves. Mr. Goemans is one good example, and so is Mr. and Mrs. de Villiers, and I can mention a few other names. And often I remember in my first 3 years at Bankmed, I used to be frantic when I had to present to our pensioner segment. When you get to a certain age, you become unfiltered. So sometimes people would come to me afterwards and say, by the way, that example that you've made doesn't work for me. And do you know more about this? And present better like that. And don't turn your back on us. And every piece of advice I took in and I made a note of it. And every year, I believe I became a little bit better. And as I became a little bit better, some of the pensioners would point out something else I can improve and something else I can improve. And so life carried on, and so we get better and better all the time. But today, one of the reasons why I'm so happy to be here, not just because you've seen me grow up in Bankmed, but more importantly, because I'm presenting to meta leaders. And I want to just digress a little bit. Right now, when I look at each one of you, I'm presenting to meta leaders, and I want you to know that I'm here not just presenting information to you, but I'm here to share with you what you've shared with me over the years. You've lectured me, you've scolded at me, you've hugged me, you've prayed for me, you reminded us which benefits should be improved, and you've also reminded us where our services can improve. And I see a few heads nodding because you probably remember all those discussions. And the reasons why you've done that is because you all have been leaders in your life. So I want to just explain there's different styles of leadership, but there's only a few levels of leadership. So the first level is self-leadership, when you need to lead yourself. When you put plans in place for yourself and you have obligations and you have accountabilities, self-leadership is making sure that you do what you say you're going to do. You do what you've committed to do. Then you get supervisory leadership. And that is when you take care of a small group of people and you help them navigate what they need to do and making sure it gets done. And somehow a little bit later in life, you become a manager, whether it's a manager of your home or a manager of a bigger team, and you help them setting tasks, making sure the goals have been met. And at a later stage, you may become a divisional manager. So that means you've moved from self-leadership, supervisory leadership, management leadership, and now divisional leadership. And in that divisional leadership, you have an entire division with all of its responsibilities that you needed to take care of. Remember that time. You're retired now, but I'm coming here to remind you of those days. And so indirectly, in most cases, some people even became functional leaderships. They became functional leaders, meaning they didn't just lead for their division, but now they're leading 2 or 3 divisions that fall under the same function. You know, when it comes to operations, you may have applications, you may have processing, etc., and you became a functional leadership. Then you become a cross-functional leadership. So now you have operations division, wellness division, and the clinical division. And you happen to be the lead of all 3 divisions, and you become a cross-functional leader. But then there's something so beautiful. It's called a meta leader. A meta leader is when you take care of everything, of every situation. But the beauty of a meta leader is you're not chosen to be a meta leader in terms of a promotion. You choose whether you want to be a meta leader. And what's in common between a meta leader and a self leader is this. In life, you have a situation that has never happened ever before. And when you look back and you look at all the solutions you have had for every other situation, none of that solutions can fix this problem. And a meta leader, similar to a self leader, you literally have to step back and say, okay, I need to rethink this. I need to find a different solution. I need to work out what the problem is and who's all involved and what it entails and what's the knock-on effect. And I need to plan for it. That is when you have to think of new solutions for a new problem that you've never experienced before. That is a meta leader. So sometimes you do it in businesses, but I guarantee you, most of you, and all, in my opinion, all of you has been meta leaders. Because you've been through many situations that you've never been in before, and you've found solutions for it. And I want to say to you, this pandemic is just one of those situations, and we will find solutions for it. So in that comment that I just want to make in terms of leaders, I'm going to speak about leadership as we go through the presentation. And I'm very excited that I've brought so much help with me, because part of leadership is about knowing how to communicate, knowing how to influence people, knowing how to ask for help, knowing how to listen, knowing how to step back and think for a moment before you apply a solution. So we're going to talk a lot about that, and hence I've got about 20 people out there that's going to help me so that we can make sure that everybody has been attended to before you leave. So at the end of this presentation, we're going to divide and conquer, meaning everybody, you don't need to stand in one long queue. If you have a query of a personal nature, or you just want to know more about something, entire team waiting for you outside to give you that support and assistance. In addition to that, I brought more support with me. I've got the Bank Pensioners Society here. In fact, they're also known as the Financial Institutions Pensioner Society. Mana, Furi, and Alice, well, can I just ask your entire team to stand, Jan? Okay, you turn around. Please remember these faces. They are going to help you, and you will understand what I mean by that. I'm also very appreciative of your presence. Jan is one of our trustees. When I say Mr. and Mrs., they say, call me Jan. So I'm not being disrespectful, but I just want to say thank you for being here. And I know how you prefer that we always call you on your first name. So let me start off by saying, speak strong team. And I'm going to pull it together as I speak about how we are going to make use and help each other. So to start off with, some of you may or may not know me, but my name is Michelle Bam. With a colleague of mine, I head up the client management division, and I just thoroughly enjoy serving our members. So we have a jammed-packed agenda for you. We're going to touch on trends and demands. We're going to give you a bit of advice, especially for our high-risk members. We're going to talk about regaining your independence post-COVID. We're going to speak about this new normal, also giving you tips on how to re-engage, improving your health. We're going to talk about benefits applicable to this presentation, any other benefits. Again, the team is waiting to support you best they can. We're going to talk about recommendations. And above all else, we're going to wrap this entire presentation up for you in one slide. And even if you miss anything else, just make a copy of that one slide when you print the presentation out, and you will know exactly what it is that we want to carry across to you. So to start off with, post the pandemic, there's been certain risk versus benefits. There's been a lot of uncertainty. We want you to please remain vigilant. We spoke about social distancing, masks, washing of hands, taking responsibility for your own health. So part of that is, in this time where uncertainty was created, I've spoken to you earlier on about different scenarios in your life and how you became a different kind of leader and how your self-leadership allows you to think of solutions for different scenarios to help you get through it. So we're talking about how do we adjust in this new norm? What is our daily routine? How do we become a little bit more agile in order to adapt to what we believe is now the new norm or post the pandemic? And we want to talk a bit about impacts. So to start off with, increased longevity and decreasing fertility rates have resulted in an aging population globally. What does that mean? So a lot of people are living much longer, and our younger people decide not to have children, or they will only have 1 or 2. I'm one of 6. Some of you may be one of 10. That has caused a change in the population structure, where it has placed pressure on economic, social, and health systems. Why? Because as the population lives longer, that has a link to chronic disease, disability, and obviously an increase of care. In addition to that, we have to consciously make a decision to look at the quality of our lives, especially if we are going to live longer. And that demographic shift has affected the policymakers worldwide. And remember what I've said, our slides are text intensive. We know some of you are accountants. If you're anything like a lot of people I know, they will look at the numbers. So we added the numbers. I'm not going to focus on numbers specifically today. I'll just touch on it. But if you want the detail, it is on the presentation. This slide basically says that the population aged 60 and older are increasing twice as much as the population 60 and younger. So we have the details at the bottom of the presentation, and that you can obviously understand why it's becoming a concern for the policymakers, because we are going to need younger people to take care of our more matured people, and we have to make sure that our elderly has taken such good care of themselves and that they're living a quality life. My favorite saying is, be forever young. I know that I will be forever young, even when I turn 105. I will be forever young, because at that age, I will make sure that I've got the best quality of life, even at age 105, as an example. We have Mr. De Villiers here, and if my memory serves me right, you'll be 91, 93. Wow, 93. And he can stand up, and he can give me a hug. And that hug was a tight hug, so the strength is still there. And so I salute you, Mr. De Villiers, because you will be forever young. You are here today, and that's awesome. So we're going to go through a little bit of data so that I can just set the scene of why this is so important for us. We've just been through 4 waves, and already there's a talk of a 5th wave. But we are much better prepared, because during the first wave, we weren't prepared. There was no vaccinations, etc. We were worried about, is there going to be sufficient beds in a hospital? There was a lot of mortality, as an example. 2nd, 3rd wave, 4th wave came, and there was long COVID where people struggled, even though they were in hospital. And then, as you can see, during our 3rd wave, we had lots of infections, but very low mortality, very low hospitalization, as an example. Why? Because we were better prepared. We had been vaccinated. As an example, some of you may have had even the booster shot by then. And even with the coming of the 5th wave, we are much better prepared in terms of our immune system, how we have started taking care of ourselves, as an example. What we have discovered at Bankmed is that 1 out of 11 of our members, that landed up in a hospital. 2 months later, had to go back into hospital. And the reason for that is we've noticed that the majority of them were 65 years and older. The majority of them had more than one chronic condition, as an example, and they didn't have proper care when they came home. And there was concern about that because we often discover that when we get home, everybody else is also sick. And so the care that was needed wasn't always possible. Before COVID, we had our Bank Pensioner Society as an example. Their social events was well attended. Then, and also the same thing applies to how you lived your life. You came, you went, you kind of did your own shopping, etc. And you were fairly fit. Then hard lockdown came. And we couldn't get out. Some of you didn't have a backyard. In some cases, people were stuck to their rooms, as an example. Other people were living with families, with children that had to go to school. And even then, we were extremely cautious. At Bankmed, we then saw an increase of a lot of falling situations because people didn't exercise, they weren't fit, they weren't able to move around as easily. Lots and lots of loneliness. And loneliness in this case was felt like even to a point where they felt like they've lost someone because they used to see their grandchildren, they used to see their family, and suddenly you didn't see anyone for months. And that was quite a difficult time for lots of our members. And being able just to be at home and not doing anything, not being able to go out, there was a lot of body aches and pains. And some people even suffered from coronaphobia, meaning they didn't want to touch, they didn't want to see anyone. In fact, they sprayed everything down, as an example. They didn't go for their checkups, didn't want to do anything. In fact, they were just fearful of their life passing before they were ready. And so all of that led to a decrease in physical conditions, life quality, as an example, access to physiotherapy, life satisfaction, and some didn't even get vitamin D. And you know how to get vitamin D? You just go stand in the sun and enjoy. That's how we get vitamin D. And some people were even afraid to just go out. So healthy lifestyles unfortunately changed, and you will see our little picture right at the end. People just aged in the 2 years. And so we want you to know that all of that can be reversed. And we're going to show you how. This slide is just for the people that wants to see figures. So I'm not going to go into the detail, but I just want you to know that over 4,000 of our pensioners has recovered exceptionally well, about 83% of them that was testing positive. Unfortunately, about 13% did not make it through. And it was very sad for me, but it was even more important for me then to reach out to our pensioners. I've often had phone calls. I visited some people and they would tell me I can't get past their gate. And I would say, no, I'm just coming to drop off a COVID relief parcel and then leave. But because I know they were living alone and they weren't getting out and they needed some form of engagement. So these are just the figures in terms of numbers in nationally, as an example, and who tested, how many tested positive and how many recovered, etc. In the same light, I'm very proud to say that almost 80% of our pensioners are vaccinated. A good number have already received their booster shots. Some people could not do the vaccination for some reason, maybe health conditions, etc. But be that as it may, we are so proud of our pensioners that responded very quickly, and we happened to get most of you vaccinated, which was one of Bankmed's top priority. So basic protective measures. I want you to take you back a little, maybe a few years, but basic protective measures in my world is washing hands has always been a priority. You know, at the time of gastro, when everybody got a tummy bug and they said, please wash your hands, it's always been part of us. Same thing applies to when you sneeze. I remember way back, you at school, as they taught you, you can't be without a tissue or a hanky, as an example. So when you sneeze, preferably in your hanky. And for example, don't touch your eyes, nose, ears, as an example, even anywhere on your face, your lips. Don't touch with your hands because your hands has touched everywhere else. So that has been basic principles. COVID pandemic or not, that principles must carry on forever. Disinfectant, keeping our hands clean, our homes clean, that has always been part of life. The only change now was the social distancing and the mask. And if you remember measles time, there was social distancing then as well, unless you had measles. So what I'm saying is that the COVID-19 pandemic is not new. It's just a shift. And every time in life you have shifts. And then you have to adjust. And then you get used to that adjustment. And then life goes well again. Same thing that happened, for example, when you were young and you started to work and now you've met new people, new environment, new task. It's a shift. You were worried. You were panicky a little bit. You got used to your job. Everything became back to normal. Then maybe you got married and you thought you knew the person you got married to for the first 2 years. And then afterwards, like, I don't know this person anymore. And then you thought, okay, no, let's see, let's influence, let's communicate, let's adjust, let's accept, let's change certain ways. And then it became the norm. And that was fantastic. And the same thing applies to the in-laws. Again, just paradigm shifts. The same thing applies to working environment. There's a paradigm shift right now in the banks, as an example. Hybrid working. Artificial intelligence, as an example. A paradigm shift. We adjust, we get used to it, we master it, life goes on. Same thing applies when you decided to have children. And you said, he must look like you, but he must have my thinking ability, or vice versa. And then the child came and he wasn't like either one of you. And you didn't know this child. And then he became a teenager and you thought, I really don't know this child. And again, you adjusted, you waited, it shifted, and then life becomes norm again. So all I'm saying is we're going through a lot of shifts, and we need to always prepare ourselves for all of these shifts. So whether it's the pandemic today or anything else tomorrow, if we are geared up and we have our basic principles in place, any shift should not be a problem. So let's start off by some simple advice. Inform yourself of community service offered. So inform yourself if a church close by, for example, do a home visit. Or maybe there's a social group or a park walk, as an example. There's the Bank Pensioner Society, as an example, that you can be part of, and they can also provide you with support depending what it is that you need. They have quite a number of experts that helps them to help their pensioner members get through certain responsibilities that they have. So, number 2, get your supplies delivered to you. Why? You don't want to overexpose yourself to people or to any form of viruses. Yes, I know there's a 5th wave coming, and I will tell you that 5th wave will come and go. If your basics are in place, it will be okay. Why do we also say have your supplies delivered? Because again, you use your energy for what you need to do for yourself. Where somebody can help you do something, take up the offer, say yes. Meaning, what does your community have to offer? Dis-Chem delivers chronic medication, so does Clicks. Have it delivered at no cost to you. Make a list of all your emergency contact numbers. Very, very important. Emergency contact numbers, your Bankmed number, your children's number, whether it's ambulance services, police services, whatever that emergency number is. Make a list of it so that you can have it nearby in case there is a shift in your life, whatever that shift may be. Discuss with your healthcare provider or your caregiver your healthcare needs. That is important. so that the people who take care of you will know how to take care of you. If anything happens to you and you happen not to be able to talk to yourself, they must know enough about you to know how you would want them to take care of you. I love The Sun. I love watching comedy, as an example. And I love my grandchildren around me. So that for me helps me with my healing and my care. And if you happen to have X amount of chronic medication, as an example, they need to understand how that needs to be administered. Identify a loved one and somebody you can trust. Reason being that if you happen to be the caregiver and you're not well, is there somebody that can help you? If your caregiver is not well and that caregiver can't come in for a week or two, do you know of somebody that can come in to come and help and support you? A person who trusts that can take over your caregiving if you fall sick is so, so important. And for that reason, you need to build relationships around you to help you. We've seen during the last 2 years where you find that individuals became ill, and I'm speaking even in my own family. My son got COVID, then the baby got COVID. Baby landed in a hospital. Mom had COVID. The entire family had COVID. My little one was in hospital for just over a week, as an example. Again, if the whole family is ill, who takes care of that family? And if they live in isolation and don't have friends, it becomes very difficult. And as human beings, we are a social being. We need to take care of each other. Again, if there's any symptoms, know how to isolate. If you happen to live in a home with other people, know if there's space to isolate. In some cases, there is no space. Then we need to know that we have to be very hygienic, always keep wiping down, always wearing our mask, even if we are at home. And so we also have to think about what matters most, especially when it comes to the care and the support that you need in terms of medical treatment, etc. In all of this said, self-management is key. We realized before we never spoke about self-management, but we have to take care of our own health best we can. If you happen to have had COVID, as an example, maybe more than once, you will also know that COVID has a little bit of a long-term effect in some cases. So we want you to be patient with yourself. People found it difficult to speak, to project their voice. There was lots of experience of breathlessness. Eating and drinking could potentially be difficult. Getting your energy back so that you can start exercising again. Daily living activities wasn't as easy as it used to be. Stress and problems obviously changes your mood, as an example. And then also there was attention and memory issues. Now, I was very fortunate that even though I haven't been ill, but a lot of things happened around me. And so my sister was in ICU for about 2 weeks with COVID. And when she came out, she says, I can't even make my own bed. She would phone me and she says, Michelle, I can't even make my own bed. I'm so exhausted. I said, sis, that's fine. Make up the one side, take a nap, and then you make up the other side. It's okay. And I literally sounded like I just sounded now. I said, it's okay. There's no rush. The same thing, she says, I can't remember anything. And I said, it's okay. She says, it's easy for you to say okay because you remember everything. And so she came a little bit stroppy. And I don't know about you, but when people are not physically well and they're ill, maybe they had a hip replacement, they're in pain, and they get stroppy with you, do you have patience with them? Some cases, Mr. Human says, no, we need to get you 4 caregivers, Mr. Human. But sometimes it's difficult, and you're right. In some cases, we have a lot of patience because somebody's physically ill. And sometimes we run out of patience. And sometimes we also get a bit frustrated. And I will tell you why that happens. In one side, if you get frustrated and you run out of patience, it's because you're exhausted. If you don't take care of yourself, if you don't fill your cup so that it runs over in a way that you can serve others and help others and do for others and give for others, then it becomes a whole lot easier if your cup is filled. But if your cup is empty and you are exhausted, it becomes very difficult to help somebody else. I know what I'm talking about. And even with my sister, I said to her, sis, I know I can say this, but it's okay. I said, I can help you because I can remember. So I can't make you remember and I can't change your health, but I can walk this path with you. I can just listen to you. And in the same light, she got better and better. And I said to her, have a notebook. Every time you remember that you want to do something, you write it down. Every time you feel you forgot something, you look at the book. When she went back to work, she said to me, I don't know if I can work because I can't remember everything. I said, that's okay. Phone me at 7 o'clock in the morning. We'll deal with the day before's emails. And then phone me lunchtime. We will deal with the morning emails. And then phone me at 6 o'clock and we'll deal with the emails in the afternoon. And I would go through her emails and we would make notes and we would respond to the emails. And she would call me every day. And it's after about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and a month later, the calls became less and less and less. And she's back on her feet, she's thinking again. But if she gave up here, she may not have recuperated that well. And if I wasn't patient and if my cup wasn't filled, if I wasn't healthy enough to take care of her, we both would have been in a situation. So it is so important to have that bit of patience. And I know what I'm talking about again because I had a mom that was bedridden. And I had to feed her. I had to bath her. I had to wash her hair. I had to turn her from side to side because she couldn't turn. I had to give her physiotherapy. And I was exhausted. I didn't realize it then because I love her. And you know, when you do something for love, or you do something that you love, your energy just flows. You're tired, but your energy still is just there. It's just there. And then somebody came along and said, every alternative weekend, we'll take care of your mom. You can take a break. And then you feel guilty like you're taking a break. You feel almost like you're letting her down. Why am I sharing the story? I'm not sharing you my story. I could be sharing a story that you could be doing that right now at the moment. You could be a caregiver, and you're not taking a break. You need to take a break so that you can fill your cup. And if you happen to be a Michelle that just happened to be cup is filled, healthy enough, I'm asking you, go and give somebody else a break. Even if you're going to say, I'm going to sit here with your wife or your husband or your child, example, for 2-3 hours while you just go take a walk and enjoy the sun. Take a break. Because we need that. So again, I mentioned to you earlier on, I'm speaking to you as a caregiver, as somebody who might get care from somebody else. Give your caregiver a break when you feel you're strong enough. And also know if there is a second and a third person that you can trust that can give care while somebody else gets a bit of a breather, or while that person recuperates, maybe they are ill. And sometimes, especially caregivers who loves the person so much that they're giving care for, they don't know how to ask for help because they think it's their responsibility. And if they do ask for help, they may even feel guilty that they're not there to take care of that person. So if a trusted friend comes along and say it's okay, it does make a difference. So just be a little patient with people that has recovered from COVID. It takes a while. I've seen it in my sister, I've seen it in my son, his wife, the little one. It takes a while. The baby is still on a ventilator as an example. Now chronically, and then we trust that he will improve as well. He's turning 1 at the end of the month, and I can't wait to see them. So vaccines, please, we encourage vaccines. We encourage that you take it. If you all are certified vaccinators, because you wouldn't have been here, you had to be vaccinated in order to be at this event, There's booster shots. If you want to know when do you take it, again, the team is here. They can tell you exactly the time frame in between vaccinations, as an example. Please keep record of your vaccines. There will be side effects. I had a sore arm for a couple of days, maybe a little bit of a headache, but that is how your immune system starts to adjust. So it's okay. Be patient with yourself. And then we want to speak to our members that are high risk. Often it is members that's older than 60. They have more than one comorbidity. And it's important that you keep yourself well hydrated. And I specifically speak to the ladies right now. Sometimes you're thirsty and you say, I feel like a cup of tea. No, you need to drink water. And even the guys, I hope this is not so, but you may say, oh, I feel like a glass of Coke. By the way, I'm digressing, but to be a Bank Pensioner Society member, the annual fee is probably 3 times 2-liter Cokes. If you can buy yourself, if you bought yourself 3 2-liter Cokes in a given year, you could have paid your Bank Pensioner Society membership fee. And there's a lot to gain by being a member, and we will talk a little bit about that. So keep yourself well hydrated, exercise, eat healthy as a routine practice. So when COVID came, I will tell you now, people have taken vitamins, they've eaten healthy suddenly, and I've been preaching lemon water. Remember, I used to say, not Coke, make your water with lemon slices in there as an example. Some ginger and rooibos tea. I often just cook up some rooibos tea, decant it in bottles, put it in the fridge, and that becomes my cool drink because rooibos tea is a natural anti-inflammatory. It's great for your skin, and it's good for your immune system, as an example. So people started doing all that, but because it was COVID, don't think just of this situation. Think to be geared up for wellness. Every time there's a shift in your life, it's easy to deal with that shift if you are well, if your cup is full, if you are healthy, and your basics are in place. So there's been people with certain chronic conditions that found it difficult to deal with COVID, but again, because they knew how to take care of themselves, they managed to get through it. So lots of difficulties with certain chronic diseases. In every disease, there is certain indicators to see how well you're doing. And people stopped doing their checkups, as an example. They didn't go to their GP to double check, is their cholesterol still okay? How are they doing on their hypertension, as an example? We know this. You've got chronic letters that we often give you. And for those that don't have it, get one. Everything that you need to do to manage your disease is on that letter. Along with the codes, etc., when you need to go. And people just stopped doing that. And over 2 years, some people actually never went for a checkup during that time. So we're very concerned about that, and we want to talk about how do you regain your independence in terms of what happened during lockdown. You've lost social engagement, you've self-neglect, you didn't go for your screening, you didn't check if your diagnosis are still, for example, where you are, and having your checkups. Lots of people were sad and lonely. Mental health needs increased dramatically. People were emotional during that time, lots of loss. So we want you to re-engage. We want you to assess your independence now. Decide where are you at and what you want to do. Re-engage in social activities. That is why the Bank Pensioner Society has taken almost a front row seat, because that is what they do. They help you to think about how do you plan your budget, how do you plan your will, as an example. Let's have some engagement from bingo night or just a lunch. Let's all get together. Let's socialize, as an example. Let's see what your need is. Maybe we can get you a speaker. I've often spoken at Bank Pensioner Society gatherings where they tell me what they want me to speak about as far as their healthcare is concerned. Sometimes it had nothing to do with Bankmed, and I had to go and find either the content or an expert as an example to help me. Increase physical activity. Mariana, can you please stand for a moment? And sorry, I'm doing this to you a little bit off guard. But if you, in front, Mariana, did you just want to stand and turn around just for 1 second? Thank you. So Mariana, for example, she works with fitness, and they are called Silver Fit. So they specifically work for fitness for elderly people, which is wonderful. Again, another way of socializing and getting fit at the same time. And also they help you to take better care of yourself because, again, fitness, agility, strength, etc. So I want to raise the question, is this truly a new normal? Or is this just life? Is the pandemic just life? You've been through so many paradigm shifts. My grandfather went through World War II. You've seen so many things happening, including, for example, when the stock market had a crisis and so on and so on. You've been through so many shifts. This is just another shift. So this is just life. And how do we prepare best? By having a mindset shift. That's what we need. Just a mindset shift. And I'm not here to tell you what you don't know. I'm only here to remind you of what you know. And I just want you to re-engage. Accepting a situation instead of fighting about it. Accepting a situation, respond adequately so that you can adapt and do things differently. Relinquishing a bit of control. I don't need to go pick up the chronic medication myself. Let Dis-Chem deliver it. Just relinquishing a bit of control, as an example. Managing your expectations as well as other people's expectations. Focusing on what you can do. Changing your routine to manage in today's world. Practice mindfulness. What am I saying? Be present in the moment. It's so important because if we live in the past, we tend to live in regret. And if we live in the future, we tend to live in fear because we're more worried about the Ukraine war and petrol prices increasing. It's just another shift. And sometimes the shift is not what we would like to see, but it's a shift nonetheless. And we need to be best prepared on how we manage and work our way through these shifts. Technology is a shift. When people were in hard lockdown, I was privileged enough to understand how FaceTime works on my phone or how to make a Zoom call. And I'm sure many of you have learned new things on your computer and on your cell phones. I could FaceTime my grandchildren. I could talk to them. They could hear my voice. They could see my face. So when they saw me a year later, if not longer, they recognized me. They recognized the voice. They recognized the face. So make technology work for you. If your children's phone contract comes to an end and they get a new phone, don't stay with the one you had for the last 10 years because you know how it works. No, take their hand down, and because it's an upgrade from the one you have, and teach yourself how it works. I have a saying that says, every day, in every way, a little better. So even if you learn one feature or two features of that cell phone or that iPad or that computer, once a week, try something new. Even if it's once a month, try something new. So that digital connectivity can work for you. Whatever you do, don't let it work against you. Don't get so hooked up. Don't let your children get so hooked up in only FaceTiming you. Let them phone you. Let them come visit you. It's okay. And if you feel a little bit phobia, you let them spray themselves down, like when I used to go visit my grandchildren, and understanding that the whole family had COVID, and they've been through a very tough time, and I just came through the airport because they live in Cape Town. I had to stand in the garage, and then there used to be a gown waiting for me, and sanitizer. And I literally had to drop my clothes, put on the gown, get into the shower, sanitize. Whatever you need to do what you need to do. But do connect with your family as well. Let technology work for you, not against you. If you now know how to go onto the internet, please don't go look at all the news and wanting to be up to date with everything happening around the world. It's not good to listen to all of that negativity all of the time because it's out of your control. You can do nothing about it. But it will affect your mindset. So be careful about that. 10 top tips, deconditioning. You have to get back into your level of fitness, your strength, your stamina, and your skill. Assess where you are at now so that you can work on it. Loneliness, you need a sense of purpose. I will tell you now, there's nothing better than making something, cleaning something, or serving someone. It takes loneliness away. In the same light, bereavement, we've lost a lot of people in our lives that we care so much about. I'm asking you, please, when you think about that person, don't be sad, be happy. And think not of what you didn't say and didn't do. Think of the fun times and the good times that you've had. My mom passed away when she was fairly young. She was much younger than what I am. But whenever I remember her, I don't think of what I wish I could have done for her. I think of the times that she would sing for us, and she had the most beautiful voice. And that is what I remember. So that we share good feelings about that person. And it helps us to get through that moment. Eating well. Again, your 3 meals, be careful of being dehydrated as an example. Make sure that you have sufficient amount of water. Caring responsibly. Provide caregivers an opportunity to also have a support group. And that support group can assist them to take better care of you. Medicine, reordering, delivering, and taking the right medicine is important. Don't take medicine of somebody else. Again, leaving the house, re-engaging. You are all here. I am so happy that you are here. You are re-engaging. Please don't rush off to leave. Chat a little bit, have something more to eat, and just talk to each other and start broadening your horizons again, doing something new and something that's different. Take care of your well-being. We spoke now about Silver Fit as an example. If fitness is one of your things that you really want to do, have a chat with Mariana as an example. Check out what Balance has to offer. Bankmed provides Balance at no additional cost. See what Park Walks is about in your area as an example. Again, stay as active as you possibly can, as social as you possibly can, and get a sense of purpose. It is so important to improve your health. Community care, palliative care, programs of prevention to help you also to get in a self-management state of mind so that you don't put pressure on everybody else to take care of you, but you also take a level of responsibility of yourself. Sometimes I forget to drink water. So I will fill up 2 bottles of water during the day, and I know before I go sleep that bottles must be empty. And it reminds me to drink water, as an example. So screening is important. Priority areas, again, effective management of chronic conditions. Please do go for your checkups. Get the necessary medication that you need. If you have an ache or pain, as an example, speak to your doctors. We have got home-based visits. We have got telemeds. I will tell you now, Bankmed is the best medical aid scheme I have ever known, and not because I'm working for them, because they genuinely are. We have reacted to COVID as an example by making sure that vaccines, we let you know well ahead of time, making sure that there is facilities that can accommodate, having oximeters delivered to people's homes. In the same light, we've had these isolation hotels happening. There was oxygen being delivered. We were the only medical aid scheme who had screening tests at people's homes during COVID, because that is how important our members were for us, especially during that time. So again, there is lots of benefits within the scheme that you can make use of. For example, in situations where people couldn't leave their home, there is virtual consultations. We want to make sure that people with chronic conditions, as an example, that they are taken care of as an outpatient and that they can tell their doctor what the issues are. You could either have this virtual consultation or you could have a telephonic consultation, as an example. These were especially for our high-risk members. It is available to everybody that's got has a chronic illness benefit. That's also on the HIV program, as an example. It operates via the GP network and the Premier Plus network on Bankmed. It's available to the high-risk members, and it's really aimed to be proactive. We have a team called BioFit that's doing the screening today. It's as simple as sending them a WhatsApp message. If you are here and your spouse is not here, or you know of any other Bankmed member, maybe in your retirement village that couldn't come out, all you need to do is share this number with them. They can just WhatsApp BioFit, and BioFit will make arrangements to come to their home to do the screening at their home. This applies screening from your sugar levels, your cholesterol, your blood pressure, whether it's a prostate screening, a pap smear, HIV, a wellness, mental wellness assessment, a flu vaccine. If you need a pneumococcal vaccine, if you arrange ahead of time, remember the cold chain, these medicine needs to be kept at a particular temperature. If you make arrangements, we will even do that for you. Mrs. De Villiers called me and she said, we need hearing screening, Michelle. I said to her, I will send them to your house. A hearing screening. Have you ever heard of a medical aid scheme doing hearing screening at people's homes? Bankmed does. But Mrs. De Villiers said, no, I don't know if I must say this, Mrs. De Villiers, but you said, I need to bring the old man out a bit. But I will tell you now, I've never met a younger person than Mr. De Villiers. And he will be forever young. And we will be forever young if we adhere to what we need to do. So Sashni is here, she's doing hearing screening, but she's also with an appointment within her time frame. She will also come to the people's homes to do it there. Recommendations, personal social strategy. Have a strategy. I'm taking you back to your leadership time, self-leadership. Most of you were meta-leadership, functional leadership. Some of you were managers. It's time just to take self-management back. So I'm just reminding you what you were capable of the past. Don't abdicate that. Take it back. Take control. Keep yourself well. Use technology to stay connected, not to listen to all the news, all of Africa and the children that's dying. You can't do everything for everyone, but you can start with keeping your cup full, because if your cup is full and you're healthy, you can serve somebody else. So be conscious of what you listen to and what kind of information you read. Decide on a plan to reboot. Use your energy to take care of yourself. And then the key takeaways for me is seek help and support. I seek help and support. I've got a room full of people that's going to help me today, as an example. Reflect on where you are. Focus on what is in your control. Adjust to the process. Be patient. Be flexible. Be respectful of others where they are at. We all wire differently. Some of you are figures orientated. Others are words orientated. Others want to say, don't show me the plan. Just tell me what to do. We're all different. Let's meet each other where we're at and accept that is how you live and this is the way I live, and we all need to take care of each other so that we can just meet where we're at. Again, even though you are curious about where others are at, also tell them where you are at. Get into a routine. Physical and emotional health is important. Have fun, be creative, social connections, social connections, social connections. We keep on repeating that engagement. So if you don't have a social connection and you maybe only have one friend, join the Bank Pensioner Society. Very soon you will have many friends. And then set boundaries. I told my son, I don't babysit every time I come to Cape Town. I will babysit the night or two, but the rest of the night, I want to see the rest of my siblings, my family, etc. Set boundaries so that you can have time for yourself and refill your cup. It's important. What we can say is that COVID opened up a new era of care, how we take care of our elderly, how do we take care of ourselves. Virtual communication, important. I spoke about leadership. You know how to influence. You knew how to get people to do what they needed to do. You knew how to meet your goals, how to achieve what you were expected to do. Bring all of that knowledge back. Use telemedicine. Get involved with the home-based programs as an example. Healthy aging for well-being is important because we're living longer and the young people are not as many. I can't guarantee that my son is going to take care of me. The pensioners that I often go visit, it's not that they don't have children. Their children are living everywhere else other than the continent of Africa. If we ask them, well, the son is in New Zealand, that one is there, that one is there. And I do speak to them, but it's not the same. So I'm saying try to take care of yourself and arrange a good community of people around you. Accept these realities. And that's the way we can get on with life. So here comes the wrap-up slide. I told you I'm going to go a little bit over time, but here comes 2 wrap-up slides. Baie belangrik. I'm going to read it off for you. This is so important. All medical details together and available. If you want to know where you can get all of your medical details, it's on the Bankmed app. Everything. Your chronic medication, your doctors, your medicine, the diagnosis, every single thing is there. In the same light, if you don't have an app, as an example, make sure that you print it out and make it visible. Keep it where somebody can find it when they need it. All contact numbers listed and visible. Family members, caregivers, medical practitioners, whatever community services there are, make it visible. So when you get a life shift, you are ready. You can manage it. And you become so good at getting the basics right that you're not even feeling life shifts anymore. It's just life. Identify your primary and secondary caregiver so that you can get a break or that you can give your caregiver a break as an example. Plan social engagements. You are not going to get out of the house if you're waiting for somebody to come pick you up. You need to make an effort to get out. Phone people up. Get to know whose birthdays it is. Family visits as an example. Movie nights. Park walks is so good as an example as well. Ask for help. Make arrangements for the delivery of your groceries. Remember, I spoke about making a note when I told my sister, make notes of what you need. Make notes of what you need in your fridge as an example. So when your family comes around and they phone you and they say, I'm coming around, will you be home? Do you need anything? Don't say a 2-liter Coke, please. Just say, wait one moment, I made a list. And you read down your list. Maybe it's your week's groceries. Hopefully your child won't ask you to pay them back. And then you scored there as well. But planning your meals, your exercise routine, and also fixing things. If things are not fixed in your home, another thing gets broken and another thing gets broken. So when somebody says, I'm coming around, you say, fantastic. Mana, please bring your drill. I just need to fix something. And before you know it, something is fixed while you have a visit and something gets done as well. Discuss your health condition and your plans for improvement. That is so important. We want you to do your screening as an example. We want you to check. Have your condition checked. And then also your chronic scripts, your vaccines, your boosters. Make plans to do those things. Self-leadership. You are a meta leader. You've been through life. You've dealt with things that you've never dealt with before on a number of occasions throughout your life. So again, practice self-leadership. Know yourself, what you can do, where you're at, where you want to go. And importantly, communications. Influence people to help you. Influence your emotions, their emotions, and the behavior. Make notes of everything. I'm not saying start a journal or do a diary. I'm just saying have a book, make notes. If things are important to you, if there's something you want to remember, make a note. Especially the grocery list. If your family come and visit, they can bring some of things on that list for you. Self-love, baie belangrik. Asseblief. Self-love. Some people can be really hard on themselves. Really, really hard. And so it's important to have that little self-love, and I'm going to explain to you how you do it, because it's going to build your confidence, and it's going to build your resilience, and it's going to build your inner peace. Self-love is your superpower. And self-love is about doing something that gives you absolutely pure joy. If you are busy doing something, whether it's baking, cooking, cleaning, whatever the case might be, and you just drift away, and in that moment you thought about nothing else other than the cake you're making, or this plant that you're busy with, or this little thing that you're building, or packing your garage, somehow it just makes you feel good. That is self-love. Because in that moment you just gave your mind a rest, your body a rest, and you just felt peaceful. So do what brings you joy and inner peace. It leads to less stress, a better sense of well-being, which builds a stronger immune system for mahala, for free. You didn't even pay for medicine. You didn't even pay for therapy. You just loved yourself. And loving yourself is making a little bit time for the things that you would like. Often people say, I couldn't wash my hair because I had so much to do for this, that one, and the children are coming. And no. Love yourself by allowing at least minimum 30 minutes of your day exclusively for you. My son knows he's not going to get hold of me between 5 and 9 o'clock. And if anything happens to him, it's okay. Because I love him. He knows I love him. I told him I love him. And we left in a good space the last time we interacted. Because between 4 and 9, that is my time. That's my quiet time, my training time, my planning, my daytime. Have your 30 minutes where you take time exclusively for you, because that's the time when you're filling up your cup. The best things in life is free. I spoke about that. Building your immune system for free. Why? Laughter, walks, nature, smiles, kindness. It feels good depending on how you respond. So again, options in how we respond. It is so important. I'm reminding you of your leadership time in all of the different leadership phases you have been in. Reflect or react. What does that mean? So, reflect means you ask somebody for a recipe, and the person says, I'm not giving you that recipe, it's my secret. And your response is, okay, not ever sharing a recipe with you again. What are you doing? You're reflecting the same behavior. Somebody's angry, you're angry back. How does it make you feel? You've just disrupted your cup. You just emptied your cup. You just disrupted your inner peace. Because 2 weeks later, you will still be thinking about that recipe, that secret, and now you're not talking to your friend anymore. Reacting. The guy borrowed your drill. He didn't give it back. He said he was going to bring it back. He didn't bring it back. Now you start creating stories in your head. He probably sold it. It's probably broken. And now you're already working out how you're going to give him a mouthful. You're even thinking about what you're going to say. But it's not even true. Have you ever spoken to yourself? I speak to myself all the time. I have to shut myself up sometimes. And sometimes I have to ask myself, is this true? So all I'm saying, before you react, think about how you're reacting. And think about what gives you peace and what is going to fill up your cup. Because for one moment, I just want you to step back before you respond and just pause. Just be still for one moment and ask yourself one thing. How is this going to make me feel? How is this going to affect my inner peace? Because you're not being a walkover here. You are actually protecting your inner peace. You're protecting yourself. What does that mean? So when you pause, you try and flip that energy. We say transform that energy, but never absorb it, please. If somebody's angry, don't you become angry. If somebody says no or unkind to you, don't be unkind back. Transform that energy. And sometimes we're unkind to ourselves by the stories we tell ourselves that's not true. Hence, I keep on saying, love yourself, be kind to yourself. Don't think all these things that's not true. Because your body will go where the mind takes it. So be careful what you're thinking. Because your body will respond. Your heart starts beating. You suddenly become anxious. And later on, you're so sad and you don't even know why. Because of what you were thinking and seeing and telling yourself. And some of these things are not true. Some of these things are out of your control. Some of these things are not even your business. But we are so cautious in terms of, am I missing out? I want to say it's okay to miss out if you're busy working on improving your life. It's okay to miss out. So what do we mean by transform that energy? So again, perhaps I'm not sharing my recipe with you. It's my secret. So I would say, okay, I've also got a few secret recipes. Why don't you invite me to your house and we have your recipe and enjoy the dish? And then a week later, I'll invite you and make you one of my secret recipes. Have you not just transformed that energy into something more beautiful? How will it make you feel? And the moment you feel centered and the moment you feel good, you've just filled your cup, you've just created some inner peace for yourself, and you've just improved your immune system. Because if you stress, and people tend to stress a week later still, you're getting your blood pressure up. And if your blood pressure's up, a lot of other things can happen, and we won't go there because we're not talking illness, we're talking about re-gearing for wellness. So again, the drill is not back. Mana phones up and say, Put, I've borrowed you my drill, you still haven't brought it back. Are you struggling? Can I come around and help you? And while I'm helping you, we have a good chat, and I also get my drill back. Haven't you just transformed that energy? Because if Mana needs help, he can now phone Jan and say, Jan, this is your turn to come and help me. What are you creating? A community. Keep transforming the energy. We don't need to, everything that happens to us is not a fight. So think, pause. Think about how you respond and exercise your choice. Some of you have given up your choice. Exercise your choice. Exercise your ability to think for yourself. Exercise your ability to trust yourself. What does that mean? Sometimes we don't trust ourselves and we don't say it, but we feel uneasy. Like, I can't really do this. You know why you can't do it? Because you kind of disappointed yourself. You know, if I tell my son something and I say I'm going to do it, I better do it. Because for me, I will do it for him. But sometimes when you need to do something for yourself, you say, I can do it tomorrow. Why? But you were willing to do and get up 4 o'clock in the morning to go bake that muffins, but you won't get up 5 o'clock in the morning to have some quiet time and exercise for yourself. So we tend to quickly help others, but we don't help ourselves. And then that kind of gets a feeling of mistrust with ourselves. So all I'm saying is be practical, be creative, set practical goals for you, and try again. You don't need to walk a kilometer. If you promised yourself you're going to do a kilometer and you can't do a kilometer, just say to yourself, it's okay, I can get up and walk to the gate and back. Tomorrow I'll walk to the end of the driveway and back. The third day, maybe walk to the first light post and back. Make realistic goals for yourself so that when you achieve it, it feels good. And every time you do something that you say you're going to do for yourself, you start trusting yourself more. Get anchored in a routine of acceptance. People are wired differently. Step back, think about your options, exercise your choice, and so that you can think about your inner peace. You are not being a walkover. You are being and doing what's good for you. If you offer to do something for somebody else, like making the dish, it's not because you're not protecting yourself. It's because you are. You are protecting your inner peace. And that is important. So self-leadership, it's about you versus you, not the expectation of others, your expectation. Every day, in every way, a little better. That's what we want to leave with you. So have your own mantras. Talk to yourself. When I go through a difficult time and I feel I can't do something, I say to myself, I'm perfect, complete, and lacking in nothing. Why? I'm lacking in nothing because everything I don't know, I can teach. I can get taught. I can find out that information. If I feel I don't want to exercise, I always tell myself, a slow workout is better than no workout if I feel maybe my body feels a bit sore today. Or a quick workout is better than no workout. So have your little mantras that you tell yourself. And then give thanks, radiate transforming energy. Remember, don't absorb, don't reflect, don't react. Stand still, think about it, transform that energy. And have inner peace, love, joy, and resilience will come naturally because your cup is running over. And you have time that you've made for yourself and your own well-being. And by doing that, you are able to help others. These are Bankmed's contact details. There's a smiley face next to the app. So if you haven't downloaded Bankmed app, today is the day. There's a big team that can support you in doing that. And I want to say, please, before you leave, if you haven't done your wellness screening, do that today. There's a strong team out there ready to take your queries. If there's anything you want to know more about, I've just listed the Financial Institution Pensioner Society, Bank Pensioner Society, so that if you want to have a talk to them in terms of re-engaging, getting your social life going, getting some form of support, or just making new friends, you saw the 4 representatives standing up. There's Silverfit as well if you want to engage and find out. Today's a good day to start working on rebooting and having that social strategy of yours in favor of living and a healthier life, and so that we can all be forever young, like Mr. De Villiers as an example. So thank you so much. You've listened so attentively, but I really appreciate that all of you came out. This is the end of the presentation, even though I can see that everybody looks like they want to care a little bit more. Happy to care a little bit more. But the gentlemen at the back are happy to just guide you where the query support will be and where the screening is, especially the hearing screening. And that's it from me. Thank you. So those of you who want to stay behind and ask a question or two, you're more than welcome. Those of you who need to have your screening done, please do that. Those of you who want to engage with Mana and his team as an example, feel free as well. And then please, for our viewers, I'm glad you've looked at this video, and I hope it's been of help to all of you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Medical aid rates have increased more than 5% than what our pension increases. Now, that is your biggest challenge, because I don't believe in the Father Christmas principle. Everything costs money. So you don't have to every year enhance the benefits. Unless it's like COVID, because the world has changed, then you'd rather put money into that. But some of the things through medicine, we don't have to spend so much money through that. Looking at numbers, I mean, when I went to left school compared to now, the life expectancy, and we all know this, is more than 10 years longer. In the next decade or 3, it's going to be even more. And there's going to be a big probability that people retiring at 58 today, they're going to reach 90. So that is 30 years later. By that time, I'm just looking at what I myself pay comprehensive for me and my wife. My medical aid will be 19,000 rands a month in today's money. That's an extra 12,000 rands that you've got to suck out from somewhere. And everything that our lovely government touches, like Eskom or municipal costs, increases more than inflation. So we've still got to cater for that as well. So in one sentence, the message I'm leaving to you is please take it back and stop being too much of a Father Christmas enhancing the benefits when it's not really necessary because it costs money.
Yeah.
And then your major challenge is to keep the medical rates
As low as
at par,
possible.
not as low as inflation. Let's be realistic, because that's what more or less pension funds increase. So that's one topic. I just want to share with you something, a very interesting thing. A talk that I listened to about 2-3 months ago of one of South Africa's top 3 retirement specialists. He's not a financial specialist, and his business is to advise people going on retirement. And he said there are 5 things that his research over 35 years have shown. He said, number 1, which is nothing, Bankmed, we address one of these things, one of the 5. It's just out of interest, I'm sharing that with you. He said, number 1, you must make sure that you've got a purpose in life. Wake up to do something.
Yes.
So in my life, I'm a cellist. I play cello, so that's I enjoy. The second thing, what they find is that retired people pick up problems with their spouses and their mature children. Like an example was given, like this big CEO, he's a big shot at work, then he comes home and now he wants to be the CEO with his wife. That doesn't work. And in fact, the one case was said that this one guy, his wife was so upset with him, you come for breakfast, 8 o'clock you go and you can sit there and you'll study your work. 1 o'clock I'll call you for lunch, and 2 o'clock, go. I want to see you before 5. So that's the problem, that you pick up problems. And this was research shown. The third thing is, and men fail with it, women are better at it, you've got to have a buddy. You've got to have friends. And women are better at it. Where you can, if you retire, you can have a lunch or have a friend to talk to or whatever. The fourth and the fifth thing is the normal thing. You've got to have retirement funding. And the fifth thing is being healthy, which is Bankmed. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. You're welcome, sir. Thank you so much. Mr. Goemans? Don't ask me sums, eh?
I would like to suggest on behalf of all of you, if you'll allow me to presume this privilege, to congratulate you and to thank you. This is your best ever presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Goemans. We have another question at the back. I also just want to say it's the broader team. In fact, the person who should be getting the trophy is Dalen Alexander, our in-house doctor, the gentleman standing over there. He was responsible for the content. Thank you, Dalen.
Hi, Michelle.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to congratulate you on your presentation. Of all the speakers I've heard just lately, you are one of the best speakers. And I think a lot of people here listen to e-news, and the people that and ah instead of just speaking. I didn't hear you say once. Congratulations. I think you've done that.
Thank you. Do you know what I mean? I told you earlier on that one of my best educators and best leaders and those who have guided me over many years are actually our pensioner segment. Thank you. So I do appreciate it, sir. Thank you. And I'm glad I've improved. Did I pass my appraisal today? Thank you so much. Is there any other questions? Nothing for now. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day. Much appreciated. Thank you.